Jules Kounde to Chelsea Football Club has hit some delays and a few small issues along the way. The proposed swap deal with Kurt Zouma going in the other direction appears to be dead at this moment in time. West Ham United have been pushing to sign the player, but that also looks like it's hit some issues as well, with Chelsea Football Club and West Ham not being able to agree on a fee between themselves. It is reported that Kurt Zouma could spend the rest of this season or the new season ahead at Chelsea Football Club. Where the problem lies for Chelsea at this moment in time is there was a cash agreement in principle made as a second option, an alternative to the cash plus Zuma swap deal. Sevilla are now demanding more money. This is something that we've been told isn't too uncommon in this situation, especially with the extra cash being put forward, triggering a 30% sell-on clause to Jules Kounde's previous club. As we know, Jules Kounde has agreed personal terms with Chelsea Football Club. He's very excited about moving to West London and Stamford Bridge and is pushing hard his end for the move. This deal is still in an advanced situation. Chelsea is still see him as a massive priority for this season and for the future defensively for them as a football club. It hasn't fallen apart. It hasn't collapsed. There's still a little bit of negotiating to do. It is still a deal that is closing in to be completed over the course of this transfer window. So Chelsea fans can remain relaxed about it. This wasn't a flash in the pan deal. This is 2 years of precise work by the Chelsea board coming to fruition here. A minor problem as arose, as we tweeted about last night and as you've seen trending across social media this morning. On Lukaku, that second official bid that is highly tipped to be accepted is predicted to come in today, where we will see a total agreement as and when it does, according to numerous sources across the UK and Europe. We're here for the next hour or so to take your calls, to listen to your opinions, and to gauge your thoughts and feelings on the transfer market. Also cover off any questions you've got. Martinez news has reared its head again today, along with any other transfers that you want to speak about on the Football Terrace. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Here we go. Welcome back to the terrace. Good morning to each and every single one of you. Could be a very, very interesting day indeed when it comes to the transfer market. Harry Kane news bubbling away. The Jack Grealish deal starting to pick up traction again over the last 2 to 3 hours. It was spoke about on Monday as being a deal that was going to close on Monday. We're now into Wednesday, so we will watch this space. We will touch on Lukaku as well. Still a lot of stick going in towards Chelsea for their deal for him, which I think is absolutely, that's the word I'm looking for. I think is stupid in many, many ways. But I want to start off with Jules Kounde. As I tweeted last night, and I will address the audience here at the Football Terrace, I'm a man of my word. I'm as honest as I can be. And I was given some very, when I say information from a reliable person, this is the individual that fed me the news consistently about Raphael Varane as an example, that told me about Chelsea preparing the large bid that's now reported to have been made and turned down in some respects by Dortmund. So I trust this individual massively. My mistake here was very much a rookie error. And when I say mistake, I still believe this deal is going to go through for Jules Kounde. Still in an advanced situation. Chelsea still want him and are willing to pay cash in place of Kurt Zouma going in the other direction. Agreement agreed in principle with the player. Those things don't happen unless a club looks to move forward. My only real mistake here was a rookie error and not checking with some more experienced colleagues of mine now or some other sources before going out there. I was very eager to get the news out there to people that the deal was coming to a conclusion. And then West Ham reared their heads and tried to convince Zouma to stay. And Zuma's now made the decision that he wants to stay in London, although there is no agreement with West Ham at this moment in time. So I wanted to apologize first of all, and I know a lot of people have been very kind to me on Twitter, telling me there's no need to apologize. Things change, mistakes happen. But I think it's important, rather than trying to spin it, I think it's very important to say, look, I made an error. I was a little bit premature with the news, but everything else around the deal remains the same. Ironically, if you actually read the original thread, I spoke about there being some issues around the swap deal and the payment structures, etc. I was told that was a formality and shouldn't be a problem. That element was deemed to be incorrect. So apologies there. Always hold my hands up when I get something wrong. I think that's the honorable thing to do. But the deal is still progressing forward. The deal is still progressing forward. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Sevilla are now asking for more money. And this is something that I should have thought about more logically, even when I was given that original piece of information, because Sevilla really wanted a cash plus player deal. Nothing has worked out with Emerson. They inquired about Christensen, but I don't think Chelsea want to do that. They don't want the monetary sum to go over about 35 to 40 million because it triggers a 30% sell-on clause where they're going to lose a chunk of that money. So, of course, they're now trying to increase the transfer fee to ensure that their money is covered, which makes absolute perfect sense. But, as Simon Phillips has said this morning, and as I stay by, if you look at the Koundé situation logically, Chelsea agreed terms. Koundé wants to join. It tells you how serious Chelsea Football Club are. I think it's still going to get done. Most journalists you speak to still think it's going to get done. It's just hit a bit of a snag and a bit of a delay. So I wouldn't overtly worry. Of course, a lot of the headlines can be very sensationalist. And Chelsea may say right now they're not willing to pay the money. But look, they've put in, today is going to be their fourth offer, stroke second official bid for Lukaku, which means they will go higher for a player they want. And Koundé has been the number one choice at Chelsea to come in as a centre-back for a long time now. They've scouted him for over 2 years. Yes, they inquired about Rafael Varane when he became available, but why would you not? Why would you not go in for him to see what happens? But it's still in a very, very good place. Matty here says, I can see Zuma staying at this rate. It'll be a shame, as I'd like to see Koundé at the club. Zuma staying isn't the end of the world. There are still other players within the Chelsea squad that can be sold. The reason why you're seeing the news that Chelsea don't want to increase the money is they have to sell Kurt Zuma first of all. I still think a happy medium could be found in this situation. Is there a chance that Jules Kounde falls through and doesn't happen? Absolutely. These things, deals, we've seen it before. Tottenham Football Club completed a medical on Willian. He was about to sign and the phone rang from Chelsea and the world changed. We saw Fabrizio Romano, the most credible, most respected transfer journalist, just yesterday have to change his stance on the Lukaku situation because what he was originally told then changed or wasn't as accurate as they'd led him to believe. We saw only a few weeks ago, most of the top Tottenham journalists, again, we'll go back to Tottenham, talking about it all looks pretty much done that Conte is coming in. That suddenly changed. These things happen. And by the way, that isn't me defending myself because I haven't tried to. I've actually put my hands up and apologized for being a little bit too premature. And if you ask some of my ex-girlfriends, that's definitely happened before. But I wouldn't be worried about it. I still think there's a very, very good chance that this progresses and that this moves forward. Smith here says, Tammy Abraham would be a better choice for me over Martinez. A lot of people laugh at Tammy, but he is a goal scorer. Now, Smith, that is a very interesting take, and I'd love to put that out to everybody else, whether you think that's true. In terms of the poll that we've got out today, 80% of you that are voting think that Chelsea will sign Jules Kounde still. And I think that's a fairly good assumption at this point to be making in relation to this deal. Remember to sign up to our brand new notifications group. Very, very important to us and yourselves that you do that. We've pinned that to the live comment section for now. Just join that group. You'll get no spam. We'll just let you know when we're going live with brand new transfers. We covered the top 6 in the Premier League, plus one. The plus one being Arsenal at the moment until they get themselves back into that top 6. We're never going to leave Arsenal behind. They're a very important club to the terrace. CJ here says, Terry, do you think, I keep picking up the wrong pen, right? Have you ever done that? What you should do with a pen when it runs out is throw it away because it stays on the desk and you end up picking it up and trying to write with it. Terry, do you think Lukaku will score 30 goals a season in the Prem? Now, 30 goals a season is very difficult. That hasn't been done by very many people. Legitimately hasn't been done by very many people. If we actually go and look here, I want to go and check one thing out. I'm going to check Thierry Henry, who's regarded as the greatest ever striker and greatest ever football player in the history of the Premier League. How often did he hit 30 goals? Once. So if Thierry Henry hit 30 league goals once, never scored more than 40 goals in a season in his career. Now, that isn't an attack on Thierry Henry. It's showing people that 30 goals a season in the Prem is very hard indeed. If we go through players, go through some of the greatest goal scorers in Premier League history, we look at Alan Shearer as an example. We click on Alan Shearer here. We look at his statistical record. We look at him. Did he ever hit 30 Premier League goals? Once. He did it for Blackburn. Sorry, he did it 3 times, to be fair, which is amazing. He did it 3 times, to be fair. He did it 3 seasons running where he hits 31, 34, and 31. However, in the first 2 seasons that he did that, he played 40 and 42 games. There was more league games than there are now. So I think there was 42 games rather than 38. So he had more of an opportunity to do it. But he did it on 3 occasions. Cristiano Ronaldo did it once. You start going through these great strikers. Something I only learned the other day, well, actually, the other day, last year, was Michael Owen. I want to just make sure I get this right because this isn't a stat that I know. I mean, Michael Owen never hit 20 league goals in his whole career. Michael Owen's looked at as one of the seminal strikers in Premier League history, but never hit 20 league goals in a campaign in his life. So do I think Lukaku can hit 30 league goals? I think he's capable of doing it. But I think if you're hitting between 22 and 30, that is exceedingly good numbers when you look across the history of the Premier League. And I think that can definitely be done. In terms of all competitions, I think he could quite easily score for you 35 to 40 goals. And for the money that you're paying for him, you spread it over the cost of his contract, say 5 years. I think he'll pick up that level of goals a season over that 5-year period, more than worth the money. No doubt about it at all. No doubt about it. Chris says 30 is a stretch. 30 is a stretch. 30 is a stretch, and it's a very difficult thing to do. And even if, I think he's got a good chance of doing it. And it's about the start you have sometimes in the season. He's got to stay injury-free. But, of course, he can do it. But I wouldn't look at it and say if he doesn't hit 30 goals a season, he's a flop signing. Of course, the new bid is expected to come in today for him. The new bid is expected in. And people are quite excited about it, to be honest. People are quite excited about the idea of him coming back to the football club. It's a big money deal as well. You're looking at something. I've seen 2 or 3 different reports on this. And I've seen anything from 120 plus a player to 130 million euros straight outright. It's going to be a deal that ends up checking in at around about £100 million circa. That's where it's going to be. It's expected at any moment. Of course, Fabrizio tweeted last night and said that Chelsea are preparing their bid. Damasio has said something very, very similar indeed. It's across the majority of networks now for that to be coming in. And they say preparing the bid. It's almost just crossing I's and dotting T's and all that sort of jazz. But it's going to be an exciting one when it comes in. Of course, we saw last night the transfer bid news start to come out that Chelsea did make a 130 offer for Haaland. It's kind of been challenged by Jan Fjørtoft, which is an interesting one. And again, this is the kind of thing that goes on at football clubs now. I'm not, Jan can be speaking the complete truth. Dortmund might deny it altogether they ever got a bid because they don't want it to get out that they turned down that level of money, especially if it all goes wrong for them this season and they miss out on European football. And then they only get 75 million euros for him last year. They're going to want to protect themselves against that. But Lukaku to Chelsea, imminent, as we said last night. Total agreement expected today. We are going to open up the lines for you to come on and have your say, give us your views and give us your opinions. That is what we are here for every single day. Make sure you sign up to our brand new notifications group and check out all of the Football Terrace and my social media platforms. You want to come follow me on Instagram, want to come follow me. You're going to get a lot more content on Instagram and TikTok throughout the course of the season, plus our Twitch account as well. There's going to be some exclusive content we're creating with Twitch, who will become a partner of the Football Terrace very soon. So watch this space. So go and give that a follow. Do that after the show ends, but go and give that a go. Terry, can you look at Romero's stats compared to Jules Kounde's? Do you know what? I'll get that up now, and I will remember to do it before the end of the show. We will do that. Just remind me, people. We will do it, though. We'll get it up. We'll have a little look. We'll see how it comes in, and we'll go from there. We have a super chat here from... Where's the super chat gone? I can't see it. This is from my guy, Arjan, long-time viewer of the Football Terrace, who says... Drogba almost scored 30 goals at 32. Put some respect on Lukaku's name. He can easily kill it at the bridge for 5 years. Koundé and Lukaku, great deals. And that's the thing. If your summer ends up being Lukaku and Jules Kounde, it's class. Legitimately, that is class. I can't move away from that. It's a very, very, very good summer indeed for Chelsea Football Club. Is it, I know that there's a lot of people that, maybe wanted different players, and I do understand that. But at the same time, it isn't as easy as just getting the players you want. It really isn't as easy as just landing the individuals you want. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot at play when it comes to that. And you're signing one of the best young defenders in the world. You're signing one of the top 5 strikers currently in the world. And you're adding that to one of the best midfields. Already a very solid defense. Brilliant. I think you've got a brilliant attacking team, just no finishers. With one of the best managers in the world right now. It is exciting times for Chelsea Football Club. And I don't think that should be denied. Kian here says, Terry, Lukaku has 113 Premier League goals. If he hits 25 goals a season for the next 4 years, he becomes the second highest goal scorer in Prem history. He could even break Shearer's record if he goes crazy. And that's how good a striker he is. And imagine him doing that, playing quite a bit of his time in England at West Brom and Everton to begin with. If he comes in now and finishes, you've got to remember the expected goals at Chelsea under Tuchel was huge. The level of chances created was huge. You didn't have any finishers. He could, score. Remember, he's got 5 seasons to go. Let's just say it differently. Let's say he scores 20 league goals a season on average for 5 years. That's actually the same as doing 25 over 4, to be fair. But let's just say he scores 25 on average for 5 years. Could be, as you say, he could legitimately be breathing down the neck of Alan Shearer. And Alan Shearer, with all due respect to him, and I mean this honestly, like the last few years of Alan Shearer, I'm just looking at it again here, like he fizzled out a bit, like 23, 17, 22, 7, 10. I think Lukaku, imagine Lukaku like finishes his 5 years at Chelsea, he's 32, 33, and he's 12 goals, 15 goals behind Alan Shearer. He might move to another club just to score like, 5 to 10 goals a season to beat that record. And fair play to him if he does. Imagine spending a fair amount, like not the least amount of time, but like Alan Shearer spent his whole career doing that. I mean, Alan Shearer's record's interesting though, because obviously he played in, we only count his Premier League goal scoring record, and we kind of ignore the 23 goals he also scored in the old First Division. So he actually has 283 top flight league goals. I get why they're not always included. But yeah, listen, he's breathing down the neck on those records. Top player indeed. Let's look here at some more of your comments that are coming through. A lot of people saying no chance. Listen, it's a very hard record for him to break, especially just having had the last 2 seasons away at Inter Milan. But who knows? Who knows here? Terry, you know about Lukaku more than anyone. He was a flop at United. He is no threat to Man United, Liverpool, or Man City. I think that would be that's a really poor take on Lukaku to suggest that he isn't a threat or he couldn't cause problems. I just think he's wrong. I just think he's wrong. And yeah, I don't agree with that, my friend. I don't agree with that at all. As far as I'm concerned, it's a difficult one for some people to look past the things that didn't go right at Man United, but you have to consider the situation. You have to consider what happened under Jose, the direction that the club lost. It wasn't just Lukaku that was out of shape, unfit. It was the entire squad. The difference between Lukaku and a lot of the other Manchester United players is that he'd already made his mind up to leave before Ollie had come in. Ollie, spoke to him and tried to convince him to stay, but it didn't work. But it didn't work, and he moved on. But he went somewhere else, got the bit between his teeth, and is firing again. And these things happen. Situations at clubs always need to be taken into consideration, in my opinion. Comment here, one from one of our members, Devav says, solid defense and great attack. A striker will thrive in this team. Come on, you Blues. I agree with that profusely. Do me a favor this morning, ladies and gentlemen, and make sure you've smashed that like button. Very important to the Terrace that you get that done. We're going to share the link now for you to phone in and for you to have your say. You're going to see it in the live comment section. We will also pin that now. We'll replace the previous pinned comment, so you can phone up, you can have your say, you can let us know what you're thinking and feeling and all that jazz, because I want to hear from you. Matty here says Lukaku's deal will be 130 million euros if it is accepted. What will Arsenal and Man City's response be? And that is a really good kind of talking point to move on to, really, and a really good one indeed. What is the response? Well, we know that Manchester City are deep in advanced talks, closing in, very close to securing and finalizing a deal for Jack Grealish. Of course, there's reports that it's in the balance, but it's very close to being agreed. They are also chasing with great gusto the Harry Kane situation. 120, 130 million is the muted reports around the limit that they are prepared to go to as a football club. In terms of Arsenal, it's interesting. Of course, we trust Christophe Terreur massively on the Terrace. He's been on here himself a number of times, spoke to us about transfers. He put out a message this morning, and I want to find it because it was, of course, shared by the brilliant Simon Phillips. And if it's somebody else's news that hasn't been given to the Football Terrace, of course, I always share or quote them. He says, Inter need to sell one more player. No acceptable offers for Lautaro. The only one they wanted to sell has come in so far. If Inter accept the offer, Lukaku will move to Chelsea, is what Christophe Terreur says. Now, Christophe Terreur needs to be respected. He was one of the first journalists to publicly state, not that Lukaku was lying about being happy at Milan, but don't take it with a pinch of salt about him moving to Chelsea. He was on the show back in May talking about that exact same thing. So when it comes to Arsenal's response, can they still sign Martinez? This is the first report we've seen that touches on the idea that they will not sell both. I think it's a very sound theory that they will not sell both. Equally, though, I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out because, as we say, 48 hours ago, the majority of the tier one journalists that feed us the majority of our information as a football fraternity said Lukaku untouchable, too happy, will not join. Most Chelsea fans, every time they saw a Lukaku link, laughed at it, belittled it, to some degree, even attacked and abused the journalists that spoke about it. So that, as an example, tells you things change. Money talks. Look at the situation with Koundé. As I said, a very well-to-do agent in the game, based out in France, does work. He does more intermediary work than agency work. Based in France, does a lot of work with Premier League clubs, someone I've known for 4 or 5 years through my previous jobs. I say got the information wrong about Jules Kounde. He's just not a journalist. He doesn't care about the story. He's like, this is what I was told. This is what's going to happen. It's pretty much done. Do with it what you will. I should have just checked in with a few more people, as I've said. But that changed because Sevilla have changed their stance. These things happen all the time. So for me to 100% believe that Inter Milan will not sell both, I have to see the window close without them selling both. But then what do Arsenal do? I tweeted yesterday that Arsenal have to act quickly. I think, whether it's beating Chelsea to Lukaku, which looks a very difficult challenge right now, or it's securing Tammy Abraham, they've got to act quickly, Arsenal Football Club, because they could end up missing out on their number 1 and number 2 target in that striker position as it stands. If they spend too long chasing Lautaro and never make the offer that Inter Milan feel acceptable, that they feel is acceptable, but by then Tammy Abraham has moved elsewhere. There's a number of European clubs that are looking at him. Maybe he sits there and thinks, I just want my future secured now. I don't want to wait any longer. Arsenal just need to be very, very careful indeed. Equally with Arsenal Football Club, the situation with James Maddison is beginning to look more and more promising. The player very happy to join. Initial offers have been made. So, Arsenal are looking to make a signature signing and a marquee signing themselves this summer. We're going to go to some of your calls now. Lots of you waiting. Really intrigued to see what you guys got to say. Jake and Nick Toller are on the way. Jay is on the way. But first up on the terrace today, Pav is here with us to tell us what he thinks and tell us what he feels. I'd rather sign no one instead of Tammy flipping Abraham is what Chris believes. But maybe that is what could happen. Pav's here with me now. What you here to say, buddy?
Hope you're good, man. These transfer fees are getting a bit out of control, aren't they? Would you have ever imagined Lukaku going for over 100 million? Like, he's had 2 brilliant seasons at Inter Milan. And we sold him for 67, 70 million pounds? They're about to double their money on him. Now, that's a good bit of business for Inter Milan. They would not turn down a offer of that 130 million euros. No way. They're not going to turn that down. I think it might be a matter of days or for Inter to accept that bid once Chelsea put it through. But I'm still shocked how this guy is going to go for that much money, considering that someone like Mbappe went for around 165 million euros to PSG, and now you've got players like Lukaku going for similar price. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good signing for Chelsea. There's always going to be that issue of, if he comes back to the Prem, can he actually do it for once? Conte's turned him into a lethal striker. He was a good striker, didn't work out for us. I just believe that we didn't have the right team, the right squad for a player like Lukaku. But what Conte's turned him into over these last few years, he is dangerous. Like, the power and the pace that this guy has, how people just bounce off him when he's running at you. He's going to be dangerous for Chelsea. Like, we've seen Chelsea fans say to us, we've got no excuses that we can't challenge for a title. If you land Koundé and Lukaku, there's no excuse why you shouldn't win the title. Like, you should be winning the title, because there isn't that many strikers around. There's maybe 2 in the Premier League if Lukaku comes, including himself and Harry Kane. There ain't no other strikers who could score that many goals in the world, in the Premier League. Like, you have to win. You have to win the title. I'm not having it like, we don't have this pressure, blah, blah, blah. You need to win that title if you bring in Lukaku and Koundé. There's no excuses for you lot. But yeah, it's going to be a good signing. It's going to be interesting to see.
I hear the pressure that you're putting on them. I look at it the other way. I think about it as they need to challenge for the title as opposed to win it. I think that we need to be mindful. We don't know how good anybody is going to look next season. However, if Liverpool are back to, if Liverpool fans are bang on and they are back to their best because VVD's back, if City are firing on all cylinders, I don't think you have to win the league as Chelsea based on these 2 signings in your squad. I think you need to be in the title race and be pushing it. I think we know how ruthless Chelsea are. If Chelsea finish 15 points off of Man City after making, if these signings go through, which they're highly predicted to, and they don't win the Champions League, I'll say it honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas Tuchel's head rolled, just because you spend, when you put both these deals together, it could be somewhere near 200 million euros. You could end up going to that level. You might spend, could be 150 million pounds you end up spending across these 2 players. That's a hell of a lot of money to add to a very, very good squad already. I would just say that not winning the title isn't failure as such, especially if you've got 3, 4, 5. Look, Man United could be amazing next year with who we're signing, but they've got to be in that same as Ollie and Man United, the same as Klopp and Liverpool. I look at all these teams right now with what the fans say about their club, the quality in their squads. All four of those teams should be pushing for that title this year. That should be the standard, in my opinion. Pavlo, great call. Thanks for coming on and having your
Cheers,
say.
man.
As always, thank you very much indeed. If you want to have your say, come on now. The link is pinned into the comments section. It isn't just about us and our opinions. It's you, the viewers, that get your say. We're going to go to Jake next. Jake's back with us this morning. What did you make of Pav's comments there that you should be winning the title if you pull off these signings?
I mean, fair enough, we'll have to challenge, but I think winning it, you can just never say that, because no one expected to win Chelsea. No one expected Chelsea to win the Champions League. You can never. There's no such thing as an outright favourite anymore, because anyone can do anything. Look at Lille last year. I mean, how Lille won the League One last year. That's literally a one-horse race, and somehow PSG managed to lose it. You can't predict anything at the moment.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I do hear that. So, what's that noise in the background, bro?
Oh, sorry, I'm working hard today. Working.
I was like, is that like sellotape? But yeah, it's No, I do hear you. I think it's a little high. In terms of the Jules Kounde situation, what are your expectations on this deal right now? Do you expect Chelsea to do an all cash offer? You know, the player is agreed to join. What's your take on the developments of that in the last 24 hours?
Well, from the reports that I've seen, it seems like even if it is only cash, it doesn't seem to be a problem. Obviously, Chelsea would have preferred to use Zuma, but Zuma wants to stay in England. I don't think that'll make much of a problem. I think they'll just go in and use the cash, but they may want to sell Zuma first. But Geno's just coming out and saying that apparently he's closer to agreeing personal terms with West Ham, so it shouldn't be too long, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, really, because of course there's this sort of situation of, I think the ex-West Ham employee kind of put out this morning, and I quoted his tweet in one of our threads this morning, that essentially West Ham actually put their attention towards a different centre back now, because they can't get the agreement with Chelsea on the Zuma situation. And the one thing, the irony in my report that went out is, we obviously commented on it and spoke to people privately as well. The Zuma situation was always what was holding it up, whether it be selling him for the money to raise or whether it be anything else. And of course, Chelsea are going to publicly turn around and say they don't want to pay that much for a player. They want to get the right money in for Zuma first. And this is the Chelsea mantra. This is the Chelsea model. They don't sell players under value very often, and they don't buy players over value. So I would expect to still see the deal go through. It's just gone back to a slight negotiation element. It's very advanced. It's very, very close to an agreement. You are probably talking between Zuma being sold and Chelsea agreeing a cash fee, differentials of 5 million euros on both deals, which is nothing. I don't think you're talking differentials of 15, 20, 30 millions here, which are very hard to come by. I think that the gap is very, very small. And it's little things like, if you look at a different transfer altogether as an example, as a case in point, the Villa situation with Man City. It's just been a few moments ago and officially announced by Villa that they've signed Leon Bailey. I would then expect very, very soon now to maybe see the Jack Grealish situation announced. Why? Because the replacement is in, and it's almost a level of, fans are still going to be annoyed and upset to see Jack Grealish leave. However, it's softened because they've already had that good news. It's almost, they always used to say, like, you should give people the good news before you give them the bad news. It's almost just, you give them that good news so the bad news is a bit of a softer blow, as an example. So I wouldn't be surprised, you know what I mean? If today it's announced that West Ham have struck an agreement with Kurt Zuma, I would then expect very soon after that for Chelsea to announce that they've come to an agreement for Jules Kounde. That's just how I kind of feel about the situation. But listen, Jake, thanks for coming on and having your say, mate. I really appreciate it, buddy. Top
no
man.
Problem. Speak to you another time, mate.
And thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Next on the show, we're going to go to CFC Chats. Good morning, mate. How are you?
Hey, Terry. Good morning, man. First of all, good evening. Another day, another Lukaku news. In my opinion, I'm going to join for Haaland, but I'm still super happy about this, honestly. And I think every Chelsea fan right now should be super excited that he's coming to the bridge. Possibly, obviously, possibly, yeah. But it's a big deal. It's 100 million plus Alonso, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment. So, it's a bit much. But obviously, who am I to decide? It's Tuchel's decision. He is trusting it. So, guys, we've got to trust Tuchel and see where he goes from that. For Koundé, I think Koundé, 85, let's buy him. He's a fantastic player, upcoming player. If we remove, Thiago's gone next season, Aspie's going to be gone a couple of seasons. So we need someone to fill in those gaps when those stars of Chelsea leave. So I think Koundé is also a fantastic deal.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it whatsoever. In terms of your expectations as a Chelsea fan, like we have come on as a Man United supporter saying you've got to win the league. What's your take on this?
I mean, I wouldn't say if we sign Lukaku and Koundé, definitely would be favourites, but it's not like if I feel like league, we have a better chance than Champions League because Champions League, I feel like PSG's got this in the bag with the players that they've got. But I think Premier League is a definite aim to win. I think it's more important than a Champions League this season. I would rather win a Prem than a Champions League this season at this moment. And I think it would be satisfied, obviously, and it would make sense to rivals to be like Chelsea's going to win the final because, they've got Lukaku, they've got Koundé and the Champions League winners. But obviously, it is a hard league. But I would expect us to be at least top 3 minimum, if not win the league.
Yeah, I mean, definitely outside that top 3, barring being 4th, but being 3 points. That's the irony with top 3. You could come 4th, improve on last season as a club.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? Like, I know it's very, very, very rare this would happen. Man United came 2nd last year. 4th place could be better than us coming 2nd last year if we're much closer to that league title. So let's just say City win it with 92 points. Chelsea comes 2nd on 90, and then Man United and Liverpool have 88 each. Coming 4th from 2nd, again, that's why I always say to people, contextually, you've got to look at it and not just the league positions. It's the games you won, how you played, and everything else. But I think when I look at Man United, Liverpool, and Chelsea, I've said it, and I'll say this in the previews, with the players we're looking to bring in and the squads and managers our clubs have respectively, all of us need to be pushing Manchester City for that title. And if we're not, it's a failure of a season in the Premier League for all of us, or whichever one of us doesn't do that. For me, I'm very unequivocal when it comes to that. Listen, great call as ever, mate. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Appreciate it, Terry.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Take care. Next on the show, we're going to go to Kay. Kay is a Chelsea fan. What are you here to say, buddy? You're on mute.
I'm here to talk about Lukaku and the Chelsea fans who are really against it.
Buddy, we got real bad signal issues, Kay. Try calling this back. The signal keeps
currently, if you go
calling this back, buddy,
through the array of strikes.
Thank you. Sorry, Kay. Next on the show, we're going to go to Mr. Anthony's here, long-time viewer and member of the Terrace. What you saying, buddy?
Morning, Terry. How are you?
I'm very, very well. What's on your mind, my friend?
I was pretty enraged earlier to see what these fans are saying. Everybody was like, why are we paying 100 million for a 29-year-old? He's not 29. He just turned 28 about a couple of months ago. I was a bit enraged, to be honest. I was like, Jesus Christ. He's one of the top 5 strikers in the world right now. Be happy with what you're getting, because our club just spent 250 million last season and they're dropping almost another 150 million this season. You spoiled brats. That's what was in my mind a couple of minutes ago. I was just thinking to myself, to be honest, Terry, as I said to you, I'm very, very calm. I was very, very calm from the start. I knew we were going to do something special. I was very, very happy to see that, we are getting a very, very good goal scoring striker in a strong striker. And we're going to get a minimum of 5 years from Lukaku, which we would have got from Haaland as well, because Haaland would be looking to move on to a bigger club if we got him this season within 4 or 5 years. I think Lukaku can do the same job until like he's 32 or 33, which would be 5 years. And for people who are saying that, what about the sell-on value and so on? Can you tell me an instance where Chelsea was ever worried about a sell-on value about a player? I can't remember. To be honest, I really can't remember. And that's my thought about it. I'm very, very happy. As I said, Devi, I told you we're gonna do something special this season. I think we are right up there. If Koundé comes in, there is that bit of cover that helps us in as well. And I'm as I said, I'm very calm. I know we are gonna do something special. We got a very good manager, very, very good squad now. We have a very good goal scoring striker. I'm
Yeah.
over
No,
the
Mr.
moon.
Of course, and you should be over the moon. There's no doubt about it at all. And I think that I see a lot of stick. I think your signal might have frozen there, my friend. But thank you for coming on and having your say. I've seen a few like salty comments from rivals saying, "Yeah, but you wanted Haaland, so why are you celebrating?" Because they've still signed a brilliant striker. They haven't gone from Haaland to Sebastian Aller. You know, they haven't gone from Haaland to Callum Wilson. They haven't gone from Haaland to Josh King. You know, they've gone to Lukaku, who's one of the leading strikers in world football still. There is no L here for Chelsea. Not in any way, not in any shape, not in any form. It is a brilliant, brilliant piece of business. It's a brilliant piece of business. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. Next on the show, we're going to go to Nick Toller. Nick Toller's here. What are you saying, buddy? Are you there, Nick? I'm not too sure if Nick is actually there.
Oh, is that better?
There we go. Perfect. Yes, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Give me your take. Look, I know we haven't spoke for a day or two. Lukaku now seemingly through the door and the Jules Kounde situation. Give me your opinions, bro.
I'm really pleased to see it, honestly. I mean, I obviously wanted Erling Haaland. I think all the Chelsea fans wanted Erling Haaland, but Lukaku is perfect. He suits the club. He's a goal scorer, and that is what we need at Chelsea, right? We don't need anyone else, and he is a proven goal scorer, right? Not just only in the Premier League. Whilst his last 2 seasons at United weren't the best, he bossed it in Serie A under a world-class manager. He's coming to London with a world-class manager in Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel will get the best out of him, right, as a player. And Lukaku has improved technically speaking in his time in Italy, right? Because he's worked on his touches, he's worked on his gameplay, he's worked on his passing, and it's just great to see. And him, Havertz, Mount, that will be a lethal front three. And I know a couple of the guys before me, they're like, if buts and maybes, should we win the league? I mean, I want us to win the league. I think we should. Now, I do think if we get fourth, that's a disappointing season. I want third and above. Let's be real. If we bring in Koundé too, I think we need to improve upon again this year, right? I think we got a point or two better under Tuchel than Lampard, considering the situations. It is what it is. But this year, we need to see a big step up from players like Havertz, like Timo Werner. And if Lukaku comes in, he has to hit the ground running. Likewise with Koundé. If Koundé is going to be thrown in the back three, he needs to hit the ground running.
Yeah, listen, I totally get you on that. There's a comment here from Nathan that says, Terry, you're just saying this because you want Haaland to United. You don't want Chelsea. Of course I want Haaland at Manchester United.
Everyone wants Haaland. I don't blame you.
But it's like, that doesn't mean Lukaku's a bad signing. Those two things can be true at exactly the same time. I just want to change the subject very, very quickly. I said, I don't know, 10 minutes ago on here, that... I don't know. I said 10 minutes ago on here that trying to get my words straight here. Sorry, I'm making a note of something. I can't remember the person's name. That you would see the Jack Grealish news move very quickly. Within minutes of the Leon Bailey announcement, you see an update from the Mail Online. You say Jack Grealish will complete his £100 million move to City today. It's as if by magic.
Do you think that's likely?
Look, predicting when something will actually complete is a very, very difficult thing to do because things happen. For instance, there's a lot of journalists that got stick yesterday because Rafael Varane, they said, was coming to the UK on Monday. They were right. He was meant to. And then at the 11th hour, the player and his team found out that I think they forgot about Brexit and they had to get a visa, right?
Yeah.
They got delayed by a few days. And those are the things that, again, if I'm a journalist, this is what happens. I'm not a journalist, but when I've been given information this year, I've taken it at face value, walked away. And then it's afterwards you go, I should have asked this question and that question. But because the viewers are going to ask, these things. So all that happened, a journalist has got the information and just assume they'd already sorted their visas out. Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah,
journalists
exactly.
wrong. It was like per se, it was just they didn't know all the information. I think that most journalists have been briefed that Jack Grealish to City is a 95% done deal. I think what they then do is say, well, Leon Bailey's been announced. We know that deal is completed. Some of the biggest credible voices in the past in the market have said that it needs to be completed this week. We expect it to be today. Now, it could be today. There could be something that suddenly happens. The lawyers were reviewing the contracts and find an issue between a City sponsor and a personal sponsor of Jack Grealish's, and it delays it by 24 hours. It's boring stuff. Often delays these deals. But I think it's highly likely that Grealish...
It's going to raise some eyebrows. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to, I think, wake the league up again. Grealish to City. I mean, I don't think they necessarily needed another creative player. They've got De Bruyne, they've got Foden, they've got Mahrez, they've got Bernardo Silva. They've got stacks of creative players, yet they just go out and take their pick for the best one in the Premier League. I mean, if they get Kane too, Lord have mercy, man. That's just, it's going to be too much to handle, honestly. It's the pay to win. Man. They lost the Champions League final. Now they're vexed, so they just buy everyone who's good.
Do you know what, though, right? What I would say about
What's up?
I like the idea of them getting both players. I
do?
love the idea.
Really? I'm not sure if I do.
See, I look at it in two ways. Of course, idealistically, I want all my rivals to be rubbish so my team can win the league. However, it's like beating my kids at football. It's not actually that. The only satisfying thing I get about beating my kids is teaching them how to lose well.
How to get better or
how to get better, how to lose well, how to handle defeat. It's a moral victory for me when I do that. But there's no enjoyment or excitement. I don't feel like a winner because I beat my children. So beating at average teams or good teams is fine. It's why I feel that's why I look at players that join PSG and think, I'd love to know what the motivation is, because how much enjoyment is there winning the league over there, winning the
with no Champions League success? Like it's just rinse and repeat.
It's difficult. So I look at it along the lines of, if City sign Kane and Grealish, if you beat them to the league title, it's an extra accomplishment. You didn't just beat any other team. You've beaten a City team that were already champions and have spent £250 million on two of the best football players in the Premier League. To beat them now, it's a massive W for you, but it makes their L even bigger. And that motivates me. When Man United didn't win the league last year, we know that. But when Liverpool won the league and their fans were pushing the notion of greatest Premier League team ever, that should be great. Let's accept it. I'm willing to have that. Now let's go and beat you. The fact they finished fourth last year, in my opinion, damage that possibility of the legacy. That's the L there, that the greatest Premier League teams ever retain their titles. You didn't, but you put yourself on that platform, on that pedestal, and you fell off. So let's put City on that pedestal. And
I'd like to see it, because they talk themselves up actually as a big club. So it's time. The proof is in the pudding for them now. So they got to win, I guess. And I mean, I guess that it makes it more competitive. I hear that, right? City are probably going to be, if they get those two players, the strongest team in the league, the starting 11. That's a fact. Now it's everyone else's job to take them down that extra notch and win the league and take it from them. And we'll see if City have that desire, motivation, and need or hunger even to retain that Premier League. So, yeah, I guess I'm with you on that, Terry.
Yep, very, very interesting indeed. Listen, Nick, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say this morning. Top man. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Next up, we're going to go to Fabrice next. So now Fabrice looks slick. This man is dressed up nice. He looks smart. He's clearly in the office. He may have frozen, though, because his head isn't moving. Are you there, bro? Fabrice? Fabrice, you're going to come on. He must have frozen. Something went wrong there. Maybe we'll get him back in a minute. We're going to go to an Arsenal fan next. KSE out. Marble Halls TV in the house. Long-time viewer and member of the Terrace. What you saying, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well indeed. What are you here to say today, my friend?
Yeah, I just want to talk about this Lukaku thing. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I often see people digging out Lukaku. I think if he went to Chelsea, they have to challenge for the league. If they don't challenge and just finish fourth, or even a catastrophe, they finish fifth or sixth or something like that, Tuchel has to get the sack for me. But I don't know. I just want to know your thoughts. Does Lukaku get unfairly dissed? He's a record Belgian goal scorer. Like, he was one of their best players in the Euros. And I was checking the stats, right? Because his first season at Man United, I think he scored 27 goals in 51 games, which is good. Generally, it's under the 1-in-2 ratio, which is like the benchmark of elite strikers. So, and at Everton, like then and now, I suppose they're not the best team in the Premier League. Look, they're a big club, but not the best team, let's be frank. But he still scored a lot of goals there. So I don't know where this Lukaku hate comes from and his bad first touch and shit. And
I'll tell you now. Sorry to cut in. It's an obvious and clear thing for me. First and foremost, a lot of Man United fans, the hipster fans, the younger fans, the eye test merchants, have been all over Lukaku for praise in recent weeks and months because they've been using him as a tool to beat Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with. And no matter what he looks like on the eye, Ole outers are going to become the biggest Lukaku fanboys when he joins Chelsea because they will want to use him as a stick to beat Ole with. That's first and foremost. So Chelsea fans don't accept the support of Ole outers. They're not supporting Lukaku because they rate him. They don't rate him. They're using him as a way to attack Ole with. The reason I say that is this, and I'll go back full circle on this point. The reason that those same eye test merchants and a lot of football fans out there disrespect Lukaku is because he doesn't pass the eye test. It's because what he does isn't visually pleasing on the eye for whatever reason. It isn't lovely step overs, beautiful technique. Harry Kane and Lewandowski are strikers. When they move and they do things, they look very elegant when they do it. When Kylian Mbappe as an attacker moves, it looks good. There's an eye test. When Martial does things, there's an eye test. They pass it. It looks good. It looks entertaining. It's enthralling. It puts you on the edge of your seat. Lukaku looks a little bit cumbersome and clumsy in the way he operates and the way that he moves. But the output levels that he produces are better than the vast majority of players out there. So the disrespect comes through the fouled eye test of many people, not the end result and end product of the player. And that's where this all stems from for me. It's all about eye test. We've done the statistical analysis before. Lukaku's first touch, losing possession, in his time in the Premier League was better than Aguero's, Harry Kane's, Mo Salah's, Robin Van Persie's, and Wayne Rooney's. At the time we checked those stats, he loses the ball at least 1 to 2 times less per game with his first touch compared to all those players. The difference was when he did lose it, it was often quite comical, so it stood out in your mind. Somebody would make a video with like clown music playing behind it, and it would ingrain it in people's minds. Plus, the way he dribbled didn't look elegant. The way he sometimes controlled the ball looked a little bit kind of awkward. It's the items that he fouls, not the outputs as a football player, which the outputs are the most important element. Now, he's improved on his approach play. He's improved on his hold-up play since he's been at Inter Milan. There is no doubt about it. There are challenges and questions. The pace and the speed of the Premier League. Will he get as much time? Only time will tell. We're only going to see that when he gets the opportunity to. But yeah, to answer your point, the Lukaku got stick because he didn't look good doing it. The reason that certain people have fallen in love with him that I've seen on socials in recent times has been more so because they've wanted to use him as a stick to beat Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over the head with. And by the way, all the Chelsea fans are being negative about, we should have got like David, we should have got Haaland, not Lukaku. If Lukaku doesn't score, if Lukaku only scores 25 goals this season and you don't win the league, but Haaland bangs in 45 goals at Dortmund, they will do exactly the same thing. They will use Haaland as a stick to beat Lukaku with because they didn't get what they want, or their favorite person is in, whenever there's an agenda, there's a knock-on effect from that, and players are used as tools, mate. But that's the rationale as to why he's not respected, mate. Yeah. In my opinion, it's purely down to idiots and eye test merchants. To be fair, listen, mate, thanks for coming on and having your say. Top man, thank you. Mr. Anthony here with a super chat says, "Hey Terry, sorry about that. Wi-Fi messed up. As I was saying, I was confident and calm, and now I'm very excited about this. As said a couple of weeks ago, we are right up there now, and we will win it." That is a big, bold statement. Big, bold statement, but could come to fruition. Another super chat here from my guy Monso says, let's get this trending. Smash the like button. Thank you very, very much indeed, my friend, for saying that there. I'm going to go to some more of your comments that are coming through. I don't know what it's just saying here. Martial, never mentioned that guy's name. Oh, Martial's very good on the eye test. That's why I mentioned him. It's worthwhile looking at that. Man's first touch is just horrible. I don't think it's as bad as people say. Stat Merchants is a football manager. Stat Merchant is for football manager and FIFA Online. Not really. Winning the league is because you got the best stats. Most points are a stat. Do you know what I love about eye test merchants? How we know they're all wrong. They can't prove a point without using a stat. That's how you know it's wrong. It's a mixture of both things, by the way. You know, if you pass the eye test and your outputs are at a high level, then you're arguably one of the best in the world, the best in the world. But I would always take someone that fails the eye test but delivers over someone that passes the eye test but doesn't deliver. I mean, imagine picking the passing the eye test but not delivering. Honestly, that's how I'll be assessing my daughter's boyfriends. If they're eye test merchants, she doesn't get with them, because my belief is that they will fail in life because they're a style over substance person, and style over substance, you're never dating my daughter ever. Do you know what I mean? If you're rocking a brand new pair of Gucci jeans, Ray-Bans, and whatever, but you're borrowing your mum's car, you're done, bruv. You ain't dating my daughter. Ain't happening, bruv. Do you know what I mean? I don't mess with these guys. You know what I mean? Man out there with Mizuno on his shirt, looking like a bad man in the club, drinking water. Get out of my way, bruv. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. My boy, do you know what it is? My boy Nathaniel taught me that growing up. He used to hate it. Like, he used to say, like, all these mans out here, like, rolling around, like there's something special, like they've got something, but they're broke. But they look like, it goes, oh, I used to do it. He was a lot older than me, Nathaniel. What's he now, like 42? He used to push that notion into me all the time. And I stand by it 110%. I'm sick of this hate. Anderlecht, 73 appearances, 33 goals. West Brom, 17 goals in 35. 68 in 141 for Everton. 28 in 66 for United. And then 47 in 72. And listen, he deserves respect on his name. But as I've said, certain people will attack him because of the eye test element. There'll already be some Chelsea fans that are going to have agendas because they desperately wanted Haaland, and they're going to use him take their frustration out on Lukaku. But you will also get love. There'll be certain Man United fans, especially, who are going to be, honestly, they're basically going to become Chelsea fans next season. We saw it over the Euros. If a Man United player that's currently a United player did well at the Euros, they tried to twist it into this weird notion that they hadn't played that well for Man United. Oh, it's going to be a great season ahead. A great season indeed. Next on the show, we're going to get Fabrice. Fabrice is back with us. What you saying, mate? You there, Fabrice?
Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
Yes, I'm good. I'm calling you from Congo, Chelsea fan here.
Lovely. What do you want to say, my friend?
What I want to say to all the Chelsea fans is that I really think Lukaku as a footballer is much better than Haaland right now in terms of his first touch, in terms of the league in which he's playing at. I think the Italian league is more tactical and more defensive, and for Lukaku to be able to score so many goals in this kind of league, and also he doesn't have all the creativity that Chelsea has at Inter Milan. I think that it's an obvious choice, and I know you're a Manchester United fan, but when Lukaku was playing for United, he wasn't playing under the best manager. You see what he was able to deliver while playing for Conte in a very, very, very tactical league. And you see what he's able to do in the Belgian squad with Eden Hazard, with De Bruyne, with all the creative players around him. I really think that today, at 28 years old, is a much, much, much better proposition than Erling Haaland. I think you have more chances of winning silverware with Lukaku today than you would have with Erling Haaland. I really, really believe so.
It's an interesting point. Look, I think Haaland, it definitely has some areas that are raw, but at 2021 compared to 28, that should be the case. It's one of those things. I don't necessarily. I get their sell-on value. With the only advantage for Chelsea signing Haaland and not Lukaku is there was always going to be sell-on value at the end of 4 to 5 years. When I think Haaland would have wanted to have moved on, you don't get that with Lukaku. But with the owners Chelsea have got, I don't really think they care. To be perfectly and brutally honest, so I still think Lukaku is a very good piece of business in the short and the medium term. And when they need a new striker in 3 or 4 years' time, they'll just buy one. It's as simple and as straightforward as that for me. Fabrice, thank you for coming on and having your say. I appreciate that massively. Thank you. Mr. Anthony rejoined as a member on the terrace today. Absolute top man. Thank you very, very much for doing that. If you do want to become a member of the Football Terrace, you can join from as little as 99p per month. Should be finalizing today the location for our first ever Football Terrace away day where we will have up to 30 of you there at the location with us at this place. It's going to be in London, in the UK. That's nearly secured. So it'll be the first Football Terrace away day. Really excited about getting that secured and booked. Of course, our legends and our superfan members will get first choice to book themselves a ticket to come in and be part of that. So yeah, very, very excited about that indeed. That's one of the benefits. You know, we don't just want to give out memberships and there be no end product or bonuses. The scarves are actually going to be with some of our members that have been on our new terrace for 3 months very, very soon as well. Plus, we've got brand new emojis on the way for you guys to use in the comment section ahead of the new season. So if you want to get yourself signed up now to our membership program, the link for that is inside our description below, as I say, from as little as 99 pence per month. Terry, can you compare? I have already got that ready, my friend. I've already got that ready and set up to go. I promised it. I'll deliver it. We're gonna get it up on the screen now. So that there is what it looks like as it stands right now. That's what we're seeing here. So this is in the league last year per 90 minutes. So as you can see, ball recoveries, Romero a lot higher. Possession lost, slightly better there from Christian Romero. But passing accuracy and clearance is much better from Jules Kounde. Interceptions much higher on Christian Romero. Blocks about the same. So it's very, very close between the two defenders in terms of overall outputs in relation to that. So pretty good, really. I mean, I wouldn't be deterred. I wouldn't be deterred by that if I was a Chelsea fan or anything of the sort. I think it's pretty good from both players. If we look at it in totals, of course, more minutes were played by Jules Kounde. So actually, look at it in totals, much more clearances. You know, I mean, interception-wise, Christian Romero's reading of the game is huge. But what you've also got to understand is maybe that wasn't Jules Kounde's role. I wasn't watching him regularly at Sevilla. Maybe it wasn't his job in that defensive line to be stepping out and contesting in those duels. Normally, one of the two centre-backs does that, and maybe that wasn't him. He also played a bit of time at right-back as well. So those numbers are expected to be a little bit lower. In terms of losses of possession, a lot higher there from Jules Kounde, but he's also the better passer. So that is probably down to the fact that he's trying more long balls. And what we'll actually do, we'll add that stat in. I'm going to put in passing here, and I'm going to put in long ball attempts. Let's see what that comes up as. Where are they gone? Yeah, I mean, that's what I predicted and what we can now see. 186 versus 115 long ball attempts. I think you'll find a lot of those possession losses will be things like he is trying more progressive passing, so therefore you have more possession loss. As we've explained many times on the terrace, when you look at players such as Bruno Fernandes and KDB, they lose the ball more because they try more. It's as simple as that. So I wouldn't be too deterred by that. The stats are pretty good across the board there. Everyone who's tuned in this morning, thank you very, very much indeed for your time and your support. Please subscribe to the Football Terrace and make sure you sign up to our brand new notifications package and group chat that we've got in the description for you. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.